everyone, and welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you for tuning in for our live viewing audience. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you're taking in your podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. We are on Spotify and all those good things as well. And we appreciate it. So my guest today just said, Andrew, how long you been doing it? And I was kind of like, I don't know, a long time. But when you love something you do, you enjoy it and you enjoy the journey. So that's what's happening now. And we are going to talk with New York Superintendent Lars Clemensen, coming to us from Long Island. We're going to talk about his accent a little bit because he's got a mixed accent like me. Spending some time down south. But Lars is a superintendent of an amazing, beautiful community, Hampton Bays, Long Island. We'll meet him real quick momentarily. Here's a word from our sponsor, IXL. If you're an educator, I'm sure you've heard of them, doing great things in schools around the world. Here they are. Hey, friends, Andrew Murata here, Surviving and Thriving. And I want to thank today's sponsor for the podcast, IXL. Discover the power of data-driven instruction in your school with IXL. It is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It gives you everything you need to maximize learning, from a comprehensive curriculum to meaningful school-wide data. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments, including NWEA, MAPS, STAR, iLearn, just to name a few. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your school towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, I want to thank IXL for sponsoring Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Bam. And again, thank you to them. Click on that link to learn more about IXL. It is the Monday before Thanksgiving. Everyone's getting crowded, getting busy right now. It's that time. People are traveling already. Schools down south are closed already. They're closed for the whole week. Thanksgiving has become a whole week. And thinking about gratitude, do you as an educator, do you as a leader, start your day with gratitude? Is it a quiet moment with coffee before you leave from work? Is it some affirmations in the car out loud saying what you're grateful for? Is it when you get to work? Do you have your to-do list, right? Where you're writing down the things that you have to do? Do you write down 3 points of gratitude? If you don't do that, I'm going to challenge you to think about leading and starting with gratitude. When you are grateful for the things you have, your job, your health, your personality, your teaching ability, your leadership ability, it makes the hard things a little easier, right? Well, all right, this person got mad at me. I made a mistake. You're grateful for what you have. You're grateful for who you are, your family. So if you're not writing them down, I urge you to write them down. Start your day with it. We got Post-it notes all over our desks, right? I'm here in the office. We got them all over. Write down what you're grateful about, not only this week, but do it all the time. When you lead with gratitude, it makes everything better. Enough of me chatting. Let's meet today's guest coming to us from Long Island. Lars, welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond.
Thank you for having me. And I'm sitting here listening going, I don't write them down. I need to write them down. It's important.
Well, is that are you accepting the challenge, Lars?
I accept it. I even have the notebook I know I'm going to use tomorrow. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah. You have small children. You're in a beautiful school district, right? We have a lot to be thankful for. So thanks for taking that challenge.
Yeah. I am grateful to start my day. I have a little 3-year-old, and you hear the down the hallway, and she's this little empath, just knows what you need and what you need and what you need. And she gets, that hug, that snuggle right in every day. Good morning. Are we going to have a great day? And she starts it like that every day. So thank you for crystallizing that for me.
Beautiful. Friends, this is Lars Clemensen, the Superintendent of Hampton Bays. He is from Hampton Bays. He grew up in that community. He's back in the school where he went to school, and now he's the superintendent. And he's not just the superintendent. He's been there for 15 years. Lars, congratulations, man. That is a beautiful journey. I know there's a book in there somewhere. We're going to get writing.
Once I write down what I'm grateful for, then we'll get writing. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I went to school here. So there's a lot of deja vu moments for me.
I love it. Lars, let's talk about being grateful. You mentioned your children, and again, leading in your community. What are a couple other things that top of mind come to that when you think about gratitude?
Yeah. So this morning I also had my son's first quarter marking period parent teacher conference, and you know, I have remarkable faculty in Hampton Bays, but I'm not sure any of them thought they'd be signing up for the job to say, I'm going to be the teacher of my superintendent's son. And they accept the challenge. The teachers at the end of the year get together and they figure out the chemistry of, Ryland, who's my son, he would do well with this teacher and these kids. And so we totally step out of the way because every place where they've placed him has been great. And I'm so grateful to sit at this horseshoe table with Mrs. DeViti and Mr. Heater and Mrs. Mancuso this morning and hear how much they know about my boy, and more importantly, how much they love him. And that came through. The honest things too. Hey, he's got to do this, or hey, we got to work on this. That's what we want to hear as parents. But I'm so grateful to lead in my community and have pride for my team. This is a great community. So I'm very grateful to do this work, and I'm grateful to do this work at this time. It's a difficult time in America, and to be part of conversations where you can build trust for people and comfort for people, I think is a good thing. We need more of those stakeholders and allies doing that work for kids.
Yeah, beautiful answer there. You could tell that you love that community, and again, to not only be an educator and then be the superintendent. That's beautiful. How about Thanksgiving itself, Lars? We're a couple days away. Long Island gets extremely busy. People come and go. And do you go home? Do you travel? What are you prepping for over the next couple days?
So we stay put. We have some family coming in. Of the last couple of years, we've gone to a restaurant, which is not really. It wasn't really my oh, let's go to a restaurant. That's a good idea because there's no sides, there's no leftovers, there's no, all of that stuff that takes you through the next couple of days. I love to cook. And so doing that, missing that piece. So I build that in elsewhere. But we go with 3 other families and we have a room of about 20 people. There's a lot of gratitude in that too, because everyone's families are together, but then the family you choose is also there with you. I don't know if you all have the Wednesday before Thanksgiving off, but it's like a cultural milestone on the East End of Long Island. I think we'd go to school on New Year's Day before we would give up the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, because it's this day where there's nothing to do. You're just go out, walk on the beach, go out and rake some leaves, whatever you want, but you're not rushing to the store. You're not shopping for gifts yet. So I'm grateful for, some time to rest with my family. My son turns 9 the day after Thanksgiving. So we're rolling right into a party all weekend too.
Wow, that is beautiful. And I agree with you. That Wednesday is something special. Certainly feels good to kind of kick off the holiday season, playing football outside, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Enjoy it. And the weather's been great. We had a snafu here on the East Coast from snow, but the weather has been fantastic. So
yeah, it feels fall. It feels like fall, which is nice.
Yeah. Lars, again, I mentioned 15 years. The average superintendent nationally stays 4 to 6 years, somewhere in there. And you're not only are you a superintendent in your hometown, everyone, you've been there your whole life. For a short time to Texas, we'll get to that. How are you surviving and thriving? How do you do that? There's people that want to stay in the jobs and they're not welcome anymore. What's the secret recipe to be so successful in your hometown?
Yeah, it's high stakes, especially now. Communities are stretched, and the superintendent is a highly visible role. It can be a political role, and it is probably the most tangible in a community. You might never meet the president of the United States, your US senator, your congressperson, maybe your governor or state rep, but you're going to see your school board, you're going to see your superintendent in the grocery store. And so I think I've been successful by embracing the community. I have a partner who gives more, is more patient and gracious than probably I deserve, because it's a partnership. Truly, the work is, and the work and the responsibility is hers too, to take that on in our community. She's the mom of an elementary school student, but also the wife of the school superintendent. That's a challenging thing to do. Coming from here, I think part of the success has been that I love this place. You know, school was important for me growing up. Relationships with teachers and that consistency and stability was important. And so I always loved school. My mom was a teacher, and so behind the scenes, I loved that. Back then, it was colored chalk that you got to use if you were in the classroom after school. No more of that. You know, there's no more chalk in the district. But you know, so understanding that school for many families and individuals who don't even have kids in the school, understanding that school isn't just reading, writing, and arithmetic, and sometimes veers out of its lane because of its power to do good in a community, has been helpful. We have been revitalizing and reimagining what Hampton Bays could be. We've had demographic shifts that are both economic and ethnic and racial. And so navigating through our community and understanding our identity, I think being part of those conversations has helped build trust and rapport, as opposed to closing the school doors and saying, I got them from periods 1 to 9, and what happens on the outside stays on the outside. I think the school has to be integral in those conversations in order for the whole community to thrive.
Yeah. And you mentioned that in the pre-show notes. I love how you say it, veering out of the lane of school, right? Reading, writing, and arithmetic, doing more, especially when things are changing, right? Back then, they didn't have that. They had the family structures. Maybe they didn't need as much, but I agree with you. It's got to be a wider lens. So I know one of the things you started there was a CTEC program, a career and technical education program, teaching more than just school, right? Teaching trade, teaching things like that. Is that what you mean when you say veer out of traditional school?
Yeah. On a silly note, what I mean is, it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and it was like 6 o'clock at night, and as I'm leaving, I get a call, and it's one of my school board members, and it's Lars. I'm down here on the beach walking the dogs, and there's a sick seal. And I said, yeah, that happens, you know. And he goes, well, I don't know what to do with it. And I said, I'll call you right back. And I Googled sick seal Long Island rescue, and I came up with the Long Island Marine Rescue Center. So sometimes you get pulled out of your lane because that last bullet on the job description, other duties as assigned, gets you into conversations that you never thought you'd be part of. But yes, we started a CTE program, and we also increased advanced placement courses by more than 200% since 2006.
Beautiful.
Because we felt that when school becomes about what you like and what you're good at, and we take the responsibility of helping a child build their self-awareness around what they like and what they're good at, school becomes really easy, as opposed to saying you're going to go through school, pick up enough coins along the way, and once you have enough coins to get a diploma, off you go. Hope you figured out what your next step is. And so we try to remove that word just. I'm just going to get a job. I'm just going to go to community college. I'm just going to go to Stony Brook University because it's close by, and then I'll figure out what to do. We try to put the cart, that's the cart before the horse. We try to say, let's figure out what it is that your interests are and what it is that your skills are, where those two things intersect, and then what the next pathway is. Because if it's career and workforce right away, good. If it's military right away, good. If it's college and university right away, good. But when adults make those decisions, kids of color and economically disadvantaged kids end up sometimes not being put on that pathway when they might not have even been part of that conversation, that self-awareness conversation. It sounds like we all are doing it and that it naturally occurs. It doesn't naturally occur. It has to be really manipulated and forced to the kids to have these conversations. Who are you? What's important to you? What are you really good at? What do you enjoy doing? And we felt that if we want kids to be able to stay here on the east end of Long Island, that we need to help feed the pipeline of the economic infrastructure that's needed out here. Big service community. So we have a hospitality CTE program. There's an education community, of course, out here. So we have a CTE program in early childhood education. We push our high school kids in with our pre-K kids. They either are going to end up saying, I want to work with kids, or I never want to work with kids. And we have, computer science, the building trades, because we know that it's expensive to live here. And if we want to get kids on that first toehold of the ladder to stay, we have to feed the economy where they can be successful out here.
Wow. Great answer there again, Lars. And you're right. It doesn't happen naturally, especially for families and kids where maybe the parents don't know. The parents, maybe they didn't go to college or they don't speak English, right? They don't know what to do there. So that's great that you're navigating. And I like the word, you use the word manipulate.
Yeah.
Right? People say that's a bad word. Well, you're manipulating something good to happen
by
intentional conversations with kids.
You really have to get in there. And, I present to new superintendents over the last few years. And one of the talks we have is what the life cycle of a superintendent looks like. So, you're on the overpass of the highway and your job is to see all 5-6 lanes heading fast in that direction. And you can't let the lanes crash into one another. You need to let the furthest left-hand lane know what the furthest right-hand lane is doing, because everybody's moving fast in the same direction. You want it to go easily and smoothly. So this talk is about what should you be thinking about in January and February and March. But one of the threads that I have running through every single month is, where will you be intentional with students? So that sounds manipulative too, right? In a negative way. Where am I going to force myself to be so I can have an authentic conversation? Does that really happen if you're forcing it? Yes, because otherwise you're stuck at your computer and all those post-it notes you mentioned before, you're ticking through them, you're doing emails. And so 15 years later, I have a lot more control over my calendar than I did at the front end. But we didn't go into this work to do emails and post-it notes. We went into this work to stick with kids. We're better at our job when we can find and force those times. I'm going to be in the cafeteria. I'm going to be in the bus loop. I'm going on the playground. I'm going to play kickball. I'm going to be in play practice with the kids. Whatever it is that puts you in a position mindfully will keep us connected better to the work.
Yeah, one of your students is watching, a good friend of mine, Dr. Larry Dake, that mentioned that, and he actually just talked about that in a podcast. I heard him. He loves where he's at, Shenango Valley, because right outside his doorway, he could be in a hallway of a school, and he intentionally goes out with his mobile desk, like you said, to force it, to make it happen.
Yeah. Hey, Larry. Yeah, it's my first day in the superintendency in 2010. Our district office is on the high school property, so we share the parking lot. And a now long retired staff member in the building came into my office and said, "There's a kid here." And I went, "Yeah, ew. Yeah, like there's a kid at the district office. Get used to it." I was a middle school principal the week before. And so the kid wanted to talk to me. The boy came in and wanted to talk to me about his dad and job opportunities, because his dad had been recently laid off of work. And, what a powerful position we're in as educators when a young person has a problem and says, "Who can help me with this?" Mr. Clemensen, I tried to help and hope it helped. But whether it's the child seeking the bus driver or the librarian or the teacher or the principal or the superintendent or the secretary, whoever it is, everybody can be, that connection. So I said, we're going to have to just reset the norm here. Kids are going to be welcome in this building. They're going to come in for more than a superintendent's hearing. We're going to do it right. So.
I like it. Beautiful story there. I can tell you like a good storyteller, Lars. You mentioned about coming back and working in the community, wanting to have kids do that, and you did exactly that. You moved when you were in high school. You went to Texas, outside Dallas. You went to University of Texas, but you found your way back. You have an interesting thing then, spending a lot of time growing up in Texas, but being a New Yorker. Tell me about both those worlds, because they're not, New York and Texas. You don't think they mix so much, but what a beautiful combination.
Yeah, you'll hear me say call, and you'll hear me say y'all. So it slips out inconsistently. We always kept a foot here in Hampton Bays to visit family, and after college, which the University of Texas was awesome, and we're having a great season in the SEC this year. I went to school during the Ricky Williams era when he won the Heisman.
Wow.
Chris Sims was the quarterback. I mean, it was a fun time to be at Texas, and my dorm was in the shadow of Royal Memorial Stadium, so it was fun. I worked in the Texas legislature, and the mysticism of writing legislation was gone the first hour of the job, because I worked for a great assembly person, Brian McCall, and a great state senator, Jane Nelson, who gave me such great education. And they said, their staff, said, all right, you're going to work on this piece of legislation. You got to do some research. The file's on the computer. And I thought, what? There's no parchment, there's no quill. Like, where's the romanticism about like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? It's on Microsoft Word. That's lame. And so I had this amazing experience in the Texas legislature. And again, like I said, I always loved school. And what I was seeing was that there were members of the legislature and the policy discussions that were happening that around education, and the background was really about not much more than they once went to school themselves. Major decisions that were being made, funding decisions, curriculum decisions, standards, what we expected of kids. And I thought, I need some better experience if I wanted to do policy work and political work. I needed some better experience if I'm going to be able to speak to this, in a more sophisticated way. So I joined the Teach for America program, and sort of through back then in 2002, there were maybe 15 sites, very rural, very urban. And I sort of tossed it to the wind. I said, it's a 2-year commitment. If I stay in education, great, although I don't plan to. The whole theory of change with Teach for America is that hard work for 2 years, you're going to go into whatever field you're going to go in, and you're going to have a new lens. So if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to have worked in an under-resourced community and maybe do your work with that spirit in mind, or business or law, whatever it is. So I was placed in Paterson, New Jersey. My school was right across the street from Eastside High School, where Joe Clark was the principal with the bat, and my 8th graders went to Eastside across the street after they left me. And so that brought me back this way. And I'd come out on the weekends to Hampton Bays. And as I also mentioned, the community had changed. It became our free and reduced price lunch numbers were going up. Our English language learner population was going up. Need was going up. And so I felt like I was ready to continue in education, got my master's at Seton Hall, and then met my then superintendent, on the beach in Hampton Bays. We're both in a bathing suit. Nothing breaks down the get to know you conversation like we're both in a bathing suit as the waves are crashing. But we were building this new.
Beer in your hand. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, so what do you do for fun? So we were building a brand new middle school. The foundation had just been poured in the dirt. Wow. And she hired me to be the principal of that building and help build it to completion. And then she announced her retirement 4 years later. And I was tapped. I'm not sure I would have got a job at that point as superintendent of schools if it wasn't at that time in this place too. So it's been a fun ride.
Been meant to be.
Yeah.
I love your background there. I'm looking for the orange though. The
it's here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great combination and what a great story. If you could teach in Patterson, you can teach anywhere. So that is great. And Lars, you're leading again outside of Hampton Bays more. You are the president right now, the standing president of NYSCOSS, the New York State Council of School Superintendents. Congratulations there.
Thank you.
What is something that you've learned as president doing this job? I know it's a couple of years leading into it. I know you teach new superintendents as well, but what's something you learned as president with that great organization?
Yeah, the diversity of New York State is wild, right? And as a membership organization, it is about, leading, number one, but advocacy and support. So technical support, bringing resources to superintendents, professional development, helping relay messages from the field to decision makers like the governor or the legislature or the commissioner in the Board of Regents. And the challenge in that is Port Jervis and Hampton Bays, two great communities. Our needs are very different. New York City compared to Shelter Island or districts that border the Canadian border, internationally speaking, our needs are very different. And poverty looks different, opportunity looks different in every community. And so the richness of that diversity is a wonderful thing, but as the council, a challenging thing as well. The council staff is remarkable in its service to members. You pick up the phone and call them. Any single one of them is going to pick up the phone and say, how can I help you? How can I help your community? Hang up the phone, pick up the phone again, and it's a superintendent needing the complete opposite thing in their community, and NYSCOSS is going to pivot to support that leader as well. So it's been a really great opportunity to learn from the people who came before me in this role as well. Jason Anders, Lorna Lewis, Kevin McGowan. There's a lot more. Phyllis Harrington in Oceanside, the Martha Group. They've been remarkable past presidents. Bob Ike, that pick up the phone and say, this is an organization of leaders. That's a challenge. That's a challenging and surprising thing too, right? A room of 700 people who are used to being the ones that have the microphone can be challenging. But it's been a great experience so far.
Wow. And it ends in the summer, right? Your year is done in the summertime, July 1st?
Yep. Then it'll shift to Dr. Desiato, who is the superintendent at East Syracuse, Manoa, then Dr. Ken Bossert down in Great Neck. So there's a long runway to get involved, and there's lots of ways to get involved for fellow superintendents. It's hard, early career superintendents to leave the building, right? Early principal, leaving the building, early teacher, understanding what could be happening outside the classroom because it's your world. But there's an opportunity, and I think some level of responsibility that the more roots you grow in the position, it's tough work. And so building that network, that core of people that, even in year 15, I'm part of a couple of text message chains that are running 24/7 because we're all facing something we haven't faced before. Or I know that you did this, so let me give you a text. Or I know that my neighbor dealt with that a couple of years ago. The power of the collective, I think, is one of the strongest elements of being part of NYSCOSS.
Yeah, my superintendent would call it the kitchen cabinet, right?
That's right.
The kitchen cabinet you could open up and there it is, right?
That's right. Yeah, well, I have a teacher who teaches in my middle school, and she's a parent a couple districts over, and she said, "Are you in my superintendent friends?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, I said, "Why do you ask?" And she said, "Because the letter I got as a teacher looked a lot like the letter I got as a parent." I said, "Well, it was his turn to write the letter." It's all about the supporting one another.
Well, our guy here in Port Jervis, Dr. John Bell, sends his best. He's complimented your leadership and the work you're doing at NYSCOSS.
Likewise.
And thank you for that work, right? When the superintendent is a great leader, it trickles down, right? And the leadership and making great opportunities for kids. So thank you, Lars, for your leadership. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lars, it takes a special skill set to be a superintendent. There's a lot there in terms of decision-making, organization, being able to say no with a smile. But public speaking is one too. You got to be a good speaker. People have to believe you. They have to want to hear you. What are some tips you have when you speak, whether it's at your school or through an organization like NYSCOSS?
Yeah. I got a B- in public speaking in 11th grade. Was very nervous to do that. And so I find that I will write remarks, and if I find, sometimes I'll jump the track, and then, the hook is needed, I'll go on for a little longer. But if I find the most authentic way to engage in public speaking is to connect with what's happening around you. What my speech was written last week, perhaps, but something somebody said just a little while ago
Yes.
is relevant, and I should point to that. So that's a muscle you have to develop, and I've been conscious to try to develop that. Like John said earlier today, or he just remarked, and you could build on that. It's an active engagement in the speaking, where I hope what's conveyed is that it's not just me and my words that need to be heard. It is an engaging dialogue. My job is to just maybe have the bigger microphone to lead dialogue that is responsive and engaging. And I think humility is also important. Hey, I made a mistake. One of my mentors said, the best words to keep in your pocket: sorry, I made a mistake. 5 words, because then it takes the air out of get them, and you're human. And there's a role modeling that I think happens there, that's empowering, hopefully, to others.
Yeah. I like that. It shows active listening too, right? You're not just the superintendent working on something else, and then you get up there, like you said, and it's your words. You're connecting it. You're engaged.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Lars. I've never heard someone say that to make that part of their speaking. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Again, if you're watching live, jump in the show and say hello here. Lars, I feel like I could talk to you forever, but what's something that I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. As we enter the new year, I'm anxious, not negatively anxious. I am. There's energy around how many things are at number 1 on the to-do list. Is it cell phones in school? Is it social media? Is it regionalization? Is it school safety? Is it the science of reading? And all of these things are top of page. And I think one of the best opportunities to have as a leader is to be able to sort of put them in line on the runway, right? All the planes can't take off at once. To understand what's on fire, what's red in the red zone. They're all important. But where you started the podcast today about being grateful, if we don't stop to do that and take care of ourselves, we will only survive, and maybe survive, not thrive. If we just have to operate with everything as number 1 versus taking the time to be well, but then also be very deliberate about, okay, this is top priority. This is the next priority. We're going to work on all of these things and keep them moving at the same time. That's what I'm thinking about going into the holidays. Now is the time where all of a sudden it's January 6th and we're back to school again. You're like, whoa, Thanksgiving, the holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, they all pass New Year so fast. What did I say I was going to do after the holidays? Right? All those Post-it notes. I'll get to that in January.
Yeah.
All of those things at top of page, I'm thinking about pretty regularly right now, and how to order them so that I stay well, that my community stays well, my family stays well.
I like that you're talking about self-care too. The superintendent pouring in everyone else, but you're right. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't be that leader. And I also loved your top of the runway, top of the overpass analogy, because you're not just planning for January. You're planning for June. You're planning for July. You're planning for September, and even 5 years down the road. You're looking at that highway because it does come fast. So
yeah.
Kudos to you, and looking ahead to 2025, it is going to be great. I got one more question. We talked off air, Lars, about IXL. I know you used it. I know you have someone involved working there. But what's been your experience about iExcel? They're a friend of the program here. And what's been your experience with kids and what you've seen as a leader?
Yeah, super responsive organization. Also a partner of ours at the Council of School Superintendents. So willing to invest in our own development, not just as a product, not just as a sales person or something you buy. They're engaged with tailoring programs that our kids would need. We talked about it in my son's parent-teacher conference today. My sister, unrelated to any of this, I mentioned to her last night that I was going to be on the podcast today, and she works for iExcel down in North Carolina. She's a curriculum developer there. And one of the things she's always said she loved is that they're staffed with teachers and educators. That's important to them. Their family of products are created and supported by teachers who lived it. How many times have we sat in a meeting where the theory is nice, but you wonder, have they ever stepped foot in a classroom to know what it's like? And I have found, and my sister, Caitlin, has found as well, iExcel is that's a priority for them because the tools are no good if they're not useful to teachers in the classroom and engaging with kids. So, thanks to them for NYSCOSS partnership and certainly for supporting your awesome podcast series as well.
Cool. Is your kid doing well? Is the scores going in the right direction?
They're going in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah. He daydreams a little bit, so which is a creative thing. But it's third grade now, so the stakes are getting higher each year.
Well, and again, thinking about iExcel, right? The question gears back towards him versus it's a piece of paper that just sits there. The thing gears back towards him, and it's pretty impressive. So,
yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I know you got Long Island traffic there, and I got something here, but these are rapid fire, Lars. These are quick questions. It's 2-minute warning for the Longhorns game, and the game is tied.
Okay.
Here we go. Last book you read?
Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, I heard that's fantastic.
It is a page. It's awesome. It is awesome.
Well, you're doing it. I can feel a warm invite through the computer from you. Last movie you saw?
Little Mermaid with Logan, my 3-year-old.
Classic. Last concert you went to?
Bruce Springsteen. I was trying to think. It was either Bruce Springsteen or Harry Styles with my wife, who was both a Swiftie and a Harry. So it was one of those. I can't remember the date.
Harry's got a banner in the garden. He was there for like 10 nights in a row.
I know. That's where we saw him.
Yeah. Wow. Are you a Jones Beach concert goer? Is that
Summertime at Jones Beach is awesome. Dave Matthews Band. Yeah, great show.
Wow. That is a great venue for sure. Favorite dish?
Anything home cooking. So Thanksgiving's my week.
Nice. Favorite place to travel? I know you're a traveler.
Love the beach. Love, being upstate. We haven't skied in a little bit, but I want to get my little guy out on the slopes as well soon.
You got to go more north than you had in the past.
Yeah.
It's just it's not that it hasn't been there, but yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Lars, that's not a common name. Where does Lars come from?
Denmark. My dad's name was Lars, and my grandfather was from Denmark. When we moved to Texas, it was the thing that got me friends because Lars is the drummer from Metallica. So.
Oh, wow. So are you a junior?
I am a second because in the Danish alphabet, J is not pronounced. It's pronounced Y. So my grandfather wasn't able to pronounce junior. And so they made me Lars Erik Clemensen II.
Oh my God, that's distinguished, man.
Go figure, right?
When you hit that karaoke bar at Jones Beach, what are you singing?
Proud Mary by Tina and Ike Turner.
Nice. Long Island is fill in the blank.
Long Island is home. Long Island's diverse. The place to be.
Austin, Texas is fill in the blank.
Austin's the place to be too. Austin is a mecca.
It is a special place if you haven't been. I went with my college buddies this year, Lars. 25 years out of college, we did the football. We went to a soccer game. It was incredible.
Next time, I'll join you. It is some of the best memories of my life.
The food, it's a
You got it.
cool place. If you weren't an educator and you were going down the road of political science there, what field would you be in?
I think it would have been political science. Yeah, my 7th grade career inventory, which I didn't see again until my first day as principal when I came home, in my permanent file said educator, manager, and entertainer. So I got 2 of them.
I think you're hitting all 3. I mean, you got to entertain us super well, man.
There's some dancing that happens.
It was Microsoft Word that killed you, though.
I took the wind out of my sails, man.
You wanted the quill. What's a pet peeve of yours? We spoke about some of your passions. What's a pet peeve?
This is a silly one. Maybe it's not so silly, but the quote, if I just impact one kid, I've made a difference. You've made a difference, but we haven't got there. We got to do more than one. We got to. So I always cringe when I hear that. I think we got to set the bar higher. We can't just get one. That works in the chicken soup for the soul. I made a difference to that starfish when you threw it back in the ocean. We got to do more than one. Yep, there it is.
I'm gonna throw that out there.
No, that starfish needs to be put back in the water. You're right.
There we go. I love it. At 8 a.m. on the Friday after Thanksgiving, I will fill in the blank.
Not be shopping.
Coffee, the kids. What do you got?
Coffee, the kids. It'll be my son's birthday, so we will be celebrating with some special pancakes, probably.
Beautiful. Something about Lars Clemensen that people do not know about.
I don't know. Lars will think about everything he's ever said in his life and analyze and overanalyze and say, oh, remember in 8th grade I did that? So sometimes you got to shake it off.
You can remember those things.
Yeah, the ones where I embarrassed myself, or I shot in the wrong basket in 3rd grade basketball. I don't let those things go so easily. That's a plus and a minus.
Yeah, that's a plus and a minus. Lars, this was great. A lot of fun. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hampton Bays is lucky to have you. And it's refreshing to see someone who wanted to go back to their community, stayed in their community, and is looking to impact more than one kid, right? You're looking to do great things for your community. So thank you, man. This was great.
Andrew, thank you. Happy holidays. Thanks for keeping the message out there for
that's right. Yeah.
Thousands to see.
Lars, how about a quote? Can you end us with a quote? You have one that you live by?
I do. It's JFK had it on his desk when he was president, and it's in my office here somewhere. It's an old fisherman's prayer, and it says, "Oh God, thy sea is so big, my boat so small." So it reminds me of the need to be humble, to work with others to get the job done. That you're only one person, but the stakes that we have in front of us are high. So, oh God, thy sea is so big, my boat so small.
Lars Clemensen, everybody, Long Island, New York, Hampton Bays. Lars, best of luck. Best of luck with NYSCOSS and the work you're doing there. And certainly, again, enjoy those little kids and enjoy the family.
Appreciate you, Andrew. Happy Thanksgiving.
Right back at you. Stay on the line a second. We are going to sign off here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and certainly enjoy your family here at Thanksgiving. Lars and I got our Post-it notes about being grateful. 3 things every day. Lead with gratitude.
I could do that.
Thanks, Lars. Keep surviving and thriving, friends.
Thank you.